Hey everybody, Don here. Today I'm at Carriage Hill Metropark in Huber Heights, Ohio on an unseasonably warm April day to witness a prairie burn. So let's go. Carriage Hill Metropark is located in the northeast side of Dayton near the community of Huber Heights, Ohio. And today the Five Rivers Metropark system is going to conduct a prairie burn in the vicinity of Cedar Lake, which can be seen on this map right here. This is Cedar Lake. We're right here right now. And this area indicated as tall grass prairie, which is undoubtedly a prairie grass restoration, is slated to be burned today. So let's take a look at where Cedar Lake and Carriage Hill Metropark is. Okay, here's a larger map of the Metropark system in the Dayton area. All right, so if this is Dayton proper, all of these parks are part of the Five Rivers Metropark system. It protects tens of thousands of acres. I'm not exactly sure what the number is right now, but these parks are really gems in this region. As a scientist, we've used many of these parks as research sites throughout the years, including this one in the past. And Carriage Hill Metropark is known as one that has a historic farm where they do a lot of activities that are, open to the public and kid-friendly and so forth, to look at what, sort of pioneer farm life was like and so forth. But each of these metro parks preserves usually substantial amounts of forest. There are often prairie restorations at many of them. Some of them have rivers flowing through them and so forth. So they're really, a really tremendous resource that we have here in the Dayton region. Okay, and so today we're going to talk about prairie management, and in particular the use of fire to manage prairies. So we're going to just approach Cedar Lake here in a second, and the fire itself will be used to manage prairie on the other side of the lake. So I'm not going to walk over there just at the moment, but the crew is basically doing their preparations. They're just about to have their team meeting to lay out the burn plan. This is a very well-organized effort. All the people that participate are trained, wearing proper safety gear. Many of them are employees of the metro parks and other parks and preserves in the region. But we're going to see what that looks like, okay? And talk to some of the people involved. So here's just a little bit of the setup to get this started.
Take some maps and pass them around, please.
Are you the professor from Wright State?
I am.
I'm Lindsay. I'm in the McEwen lab at UD.
Oh, awesome. Yeah. You a volunteer out here, or you work? Okay, nice. What's your name?
Lindsay Dewey.
Okay. And you're doing this, is this part of the research you do it right at Dayton?
Yeah, I'm hoping to do a fire component in one of my projects. So
okay, excellent.
just getting
Excellent.
started in it.
Yeah. Are there any other students out here?
Not
just
right now.
you. Yeah.
I already had burn experience, so
Oh, okay. Yeah.
it made sense.
Made sense.
Oh,
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Well, thanks. Yeah, I look forward to watching this whole event today.
So, if everybody's all ready, we'll go ahead and do the pre-burn briefing. So, for those of you who don't know, I'm Grace Deach. I'll be your burn boss today. So we're at Carriage Hill Metropark. We're going to be burning, I think it's roughly about 20 acres. And hopefully you guys have all seen the map. Maps have been passed around the unit. I will go over our objectives so you know why we are here. Why we are going to put our sweat equity into this site. So we've got 4 objectives for our burn today. So we're going to work to remove at least 80% of thatch to expose woody species, woody invasive species in particular, so that we can get back in and target them for removal at a later date. Removing that thatch will make them clear and easy to see. We'll remove at least 80% of the thatched which is, so thatch is that dead grass layer that accumulates on the floor of the prairie. We're going to remove at least 80% of it to improve nest site conditions for grassland nesting birds. We will encourage the germination of native prairie grasses and forbs. And as always, this will be a great training opportunity for all of our burn team members. We try to mix up your team assignments as much as possible. But again, if you're not comfortable with any of your assignments, please come and let me know before we get going. Jim is our FEMA, our fire effects monitor. He'll be doing our weather for today. Jim, you mind giving us a updated weather reading?
Last weather reading about 5 minutes ago.
A little bit louder, Jim.
Last weather reading about 5 minutes ago was 71 degrees with a relative humidity of 61%. Our wind is shifted a little bit from the northwest to the west. It's predicted to go up to about 10 miles an hour by 2 o'clock. Temperatures are already running about 4 degrees higher than the prediction of 69. By going up to 73 by noon, 75 by 1, and 76 by 2. So make sure you got your water with you. Whatever else, if you got electrolytes you need to take, make sure you have them. Wind is going to not be picking up much at all. We're only looking at a transport wind of about 7 miles an hour out of the north to northwest. So it should go that way. And our fuel moisture grace is running right about 10% now. So we dropped 3% on the fuel.
And that was at what time?
10:15.
What was our RH at 10:15?
61.
All right.
71.
All of that is within our prescription. Some conditions are changing rapidly, though, that was not predicted, and that is including our lower RH, which are lower relative humidity than what was forecasted. We are still within prescription. The low end of our relative humidity threshold is 20%, so we're still very good. But what I had predicted, so it's going to get hot, right? And what the weather forecast had said is that it's going to get hot today, but it's going to stay humid, which is going to make for more predictable fire behavior. If it gets hotter and the relative humidity drops below what is predicted, then we're going to see elevated fire behavior. So that's something that we're going to be watching for. Jim's going to keep an eye on the fuel moisture for us. So we've already dropped 3% fuel moisture since 9 o'clock this morning. We're going to be lighting in such a way that is going to hopefully encourage larger plume growth for our smoke, which is going to send the smoke up higher into those transport winds and out of here. Joe is going to be posted as a lookout just south of our unit to kind of look behind us to make sure we're not sending those big smoke plumes out towards here in the parking lot, and then it's going to sit back down, potentially, travel across I-70. If that happens, that could be cause for shutting the burn down. So smoke will be one of our largest considerations here.
Battery level.
If we do have to shut the burn down, does anybody remember what happens?
Put it out, put it out, put it out.
That's right. I will say those words 3 times in a row. If I say put it down, put it down, put it down 3 times in a row, we stop firing, put the torches out, we won't need them anymore, and everybody transitions as a holder, and we work to put the fire down as safely and as quickly as possible. We will have our truck sprayers with the 200-gallon high-volume sprayer units placed in such a way that will have them easily accessible. Do not put any valuables in those because we do need to leave the keys inside of them, inside of the visor, all doors unlocked, keys in the visor, and we'll get to that here in a little bit. Can someone confirm that the trail and the road signs are placed according to the map? Thank you. Trail closures, beelines, is all that taken care of? I thought I heard somebody say that the trail was closed.
Signs are up.
Signs are up.
Not sure about beeline.
Really, the only trail that we're going to be directly alongside is going to be up here on this northern end and over here. Mike Pitts mowed the fire breaks in such a way that gives us a lot of buffer out here on our west side in between the fire breaks and the trail. But still, it's going to be a beautiful day. I mean, it's Monday, so it's not going to be like yesterday, which was, I mean, this place was loaded with people yesterday. But definitely everybody keep their eyes out for wandering members of the public. We do have a couple of invited wandering members of the public. So this is Dr. Don Cipollini. He does a nature blog, and so he's here kind of taking some footage for that.
Wave. Thanks for having me.
You bet. Thanks for coming. About 10:30 this morning, Adriana from WYSO is going to be coming as well, so she might be tagging along, taking some footage, and Lauren Lemons will be here to intercept her. Everybody who has a radio and a harness, can you please one by one go through and do a radio check? Make sure your volume's up.
Channel 2.
Whoops, not yet.
Channel 1. Radio check.
Adam, do you want to go over ignitions? You want me to?
I can do it. Okay, so ignitions, as Grace mentioned, ignitions is going to be just a little bit different than the last time we burned. We kind of have a low ceiling today, and we want to make sure that we are minimizing our smoke impacts to I-70. So what that means for ignitions is that we're going to try and take bigger chunks of fuel today so that we get that good fire behavior that actually takes that smoke and lifts it up in the air. We are going to be doing a strip fire method. What you guys remember is that these lines would ultimately be an individual igniter that comes across the prairie. But those chunks might be a little bit bigger today so that we get good fire behavior and get that smoke up and out of here. As Grace mentioned, any type of smoke impacts can shut this down. And I think that's only our one variable today that could take this thing and put it to bed. So we will be starting at 31G East. G is kind of separated in two different ones. It's noted on your map that way. The anchor point, or where we're going to light our test fire, is at drop point 9. Drop point 9, there will be 3 igniters that will be stationed here. Also, Ben, you have been assigned as an igniter that will be bumping along with Team 2. So we would like to maintain torch presence on 9 to 3, from drop point 9 to drop point 3, but we don't feel that we need to allocate a full resource to just this short section of line. Not full resource, but we don't need to have anybody monitoring this other than yourself to start. Does that make sense? So,
A little bit.
yeah, we'll cover it when we get there as well. So, igniter will be going along the burn break from 9, proceeding to drop point 8. And then we will continue to start to strip fire the unit in this manner here. Because we've got a northwest wind direction, it's going to be kind of at an angle. And so Tyler, Nick, and Patrick, you guys will be working the interior of this unit and bringing the fire towards 9. Once we get to 8, we will have an igniter come up from 8 to drop point 4 to finish this section, right? So today's unit is actually 3 individual burns. 31G East will be the first unit, 31G West will be the second unit, and then we will switch and go to 31H.
Allison Wilson. I am one of the park technicians. I'm going to have a water pack on. That'll be at least my role, is to be, on the back end. And we are doing prescribed fire, burning a prairie. So.
Okay, so tell me how you're dressed first.
All right, so what I have on is, this is a Nomex suit, so we don't want to be wearing any kind of synthetics that are flammable, so this is a bit fire retardant, so it keeps me safe and keeps me protected. Also have on, once I do, a little heat shroud or fire shroud, so that'll protect my head and my hair. I've got my helmet with my visor to keep my face protected, and also to try to help keep any of that smoke from coming back up in my face, because nobody really likes that. I also have goggles to help keep the smoke out of my eyes, and then I've got some leather gloves to protect my hands, because again, we want natural fibers rather than synthetics, so synthetics will melt and melt my skin. I don't want that.
Sure.
So
You said you're going to be on a water pack today, correct?
Yeah.
So these are water tanks here. Would it be one of these or a different type of?
Hopefully I'll have one of the other ones, the newer ones that
Okay.
are more like a sack, but it's going to go up on my back. The weight I think is distributed a little bit better than these packs. Hopefully I don't have to have that.
Sure.
But 5 gallons weighs a lot. It's about 50 pounds for more briefing and get my workout today.
Sure.
So
Can you tell me quickly what these other tools are?
Absolutely. So this is a flapper. This is a really great way to actually put out any of the extra spots that might come up, hot spots. So rather than, like it says flapper, you don't want to actually flap it down, but more that you want to smother and just kind of like deprive that spot of oxygen and the coal, whatever it is that you're trying to put out, just make sure that you're getting that out.
Sort of like you wipe it away.
A little bit more, like more of like that wipe technique.
Yeah. Okay.
Rather than, like I said, we're not flapping on it.
Sure.
It's just called a flapper because
It looks like it.
Looks like a mud flap, and I
Sure.
think it probably is mud.
So then these are just.
These are the fire rates. So another way of putting out fire, you can also dig. You can pull dirt over and smother it out that way. So if you ever put out a fire by putting dirt on your maybe campfire or something, using that to smother it. So that'll help with that. Plus it'll help to like maybe pull some other fuels away that maybe we don't want to be burning. But yeah, to kind of put more of that break in there. Just again, another tool to just kind of keep control.
Right.
So.
And the other thing that was here that I guess walked away are the drip torches, correctly?
Yeah,
Correct?
I think the drip torches might have been over there.
Oh, right. Okay.
I'll
catch those later
I
on
would
camera,
say
but
you got some of the guys. I mean, it looks like a little metal canister, and it just they'll have the mixed fuel, like a specific fuel mixture that they put in there, and just as it drips, and it has this like a light little amount of fire. They'll ignite the end of it so they can go along and they can just light exactly where our burn boss is just giving us our briefing and told us what we're going to be hitting, so they can go along the lines. So
okay, well, excellent. Thank you, and see you on the fire. Hello, can you tell me your name and what your role is today?
Morning. My name is Joe Morrison. I'm a lookout today for the first portion of it. So that means I'll be on the highest point out there, and I will be taking a look at watching everybody in front, making sure everybody's in place. Nothing precarious is happening with the fire itself, and I will also be constantly looking above me and behind me, making sure that the smoke is not coming back down into I-70, and no spot fires are coming up behind us as well. If they are, then I will be on the radio real quick and alerting everybody.
Right, so everybody communicates via radio just to stay in contact.
Yep, sure do.
So, excellent.
That's about it.
Okay, best of luck today.
Thank you.
All right, so the whole crew received their morning briefing. It took about a half an hour or so. Everybody was assigned their tasks, their duties, rules and regulations, and safety tips, and all that sort of stuff. So I'm just walking out to where the burn will happen, crossing the causeway of Cedar Lake, the Carriage Hill, and we're going to approach the area where the burn's happening in about 5 minutes. So I just thought I'd check in and show you where we are. Here's Cedar Lake. Some people starting to come out to enjoy the lake, fishing and so forth, walking around. It's a beautiful day. The burn crew is way out there in the distance, and I'll join them in just a second. We're entering the Prairie restoration here at Carriage Hill. And just to talk a little bit more about burning as a tool for management of prairies. Well, first of all, fire's a natural thing. As humans, we've tended to want to suppress fires when they happen in certain situations, but infrequent fires are a natural thing. And so they're very important tools in the management of things like prairies, but also woods as well. Fires don't necessarily happen every year. There's a fire frequency in nature, might be 5 years, might be 10 years, and so forth. Fires are started naturally by lightning in many cases, but of course as humans, we start them on purpose a lot or by accident. So fire becomes a very important and relatively inexpensive management tool for prairies to get rid of all this dry grass material you're seeing back here, but to keep it as a grassland in a kind of environment that favors grasses and forbs, small broadleaf herbaceous plants. That means keeping the woody plants out and the non-fire adapted plants out. So let's just take a look at some of these things. I've talked about some of these kinds of plants across the series so far, but what's undoubtedly in this mixture of dry grass you see here is Indian grass, big blue stem, little blue stem. There might be prairie drop seeds. There's a real wide variety of grasses that are probably in this mix, along with a lot of broadleaf forbs, goldenrods, things that would produce, the pretty white, yellow, red flowers that we will enjoy here in June and July and August and September and so forth. So the goal is to get rid of this thatch, this dry material, and to kill any small woody plants that might be out there. Again, the goal is to maintain this as a prairie. Or if you have larger woody plants that you don't desire, the fire will expose them, and if it doesn't kill them outright, you can then go in easily and detect them and cut them down and herbicide them. All right, so here's just an example of what we're talking about. Here's a little collection of a woody plant that we don't want in this prairie. Okay, this is autumn olive. All right, so this little shrubby plant we have here, autumn olive. Here's some larger stuff I'm seeing on the lake shore over here, along with a few honeysuckles. These are the kinds of things. This is a non-native invasive shrub. If you did not kill that, burn it, cut it down, herbicide it, it would spread throughout this entire prairie in a matter of a few years, really. And so there goes your prairie. Your biodiversity's reduced, prairie functions reduced. Now, I mentioned it's a relatively inexpensive tool, fire that is, because the alternative is to mow this all the time. And you can do it, you can mow it once in a while, once a year, or maybe a few times a year. That can be used as well. But in that case, you don't get the benefits of fire selecting for the fire-tolerant prairie species. What makes a species fire-tolerant is usually things like deep roots, basal meristems, so even though their tops are burnt off, they'll regrow from the base. And through time, the use of fire favors plants that can tolerate fire. That includes grasses. Grasses are generally very fire tolerant, they're grazing tolerant, and you then disfavor things with shallow roots that do not sprout from the base or from the roots, or that are particularly sensitive to the temperatures that are going to be reached here in this prairie fire today. So we're going to join the team here. They have not yet started the burn, and capture some footage of that. So the fire is underway, and there's various ways that they manage this burn. One, in regards to the wind. Okay, you don't burn upwind and let it go downwind, or your fire just simply gets out of control. Okay, so they've started to fire at the end of this prairie where the wind's blowing towards. So they're going to bring the fire up into the wind. That will slow down the rate of the burn and keep it more controllable. They also have drip torches where they'll selectively light patches. They have tools called flappers where they'll put out fire, smother fire where necessary. And they also have water tanks to put out spot fires. And so things are underway. And this will take a couple of hours. If you look at the expanse that we're considering here, probably 3-4 hours to do this whole thing, maybe longer once it gets going. So we're underway. Hi, can you tell me your name and what your role is and what's gotten underway here so far?
So my name is Kelly Kingery. I'm with the Outdoor Recreation Department here at Metroparks, and what we're doing currently is we're setting a backfire. So we'll set that fire that is going to actually burn into the wind, and then we can get a black line established, and then we'll come outside and then set the head fire, and then that'll really move with the wind, and they'll actually draw together.
Okay, and that black line, as you called it, what does that do for you?
So that's our safety barrier. So if when we set everything, anything falls into that, then it's already burned. All the fuel's already gone.
So the fire selectively ends at the black line.
Yes, correct. Yeah. And then we have management crew that are maintaining that edge so it doesn't creep any further than what we want on the downwind side. So that when we come up and hit the head fire, then that wind's going to carry it pretty quickly and pretty dynamically, hopefully, and then come into that, and then that's kind of like a safety zone.
Sure. Now I noticed they're using an air blower today. What's the purpose of that?
So he's actually going to blow fuel out of the edge of the black line, so it's just another management tool to keep it from creeping further, and so he can blow that fuel out. That basically stops the fire, nothing to burn, and just another tool.
Okay. And again, can you remind me roughly the acreage that's going to be burned today?
I am not
sure.
Of that. Yeah.
Okay. Well, viewers can see it here. And again,
it's going to be 3 different sections.
Yeah.
And we'll probably burn this because it's a larger field. We'll burn it in sections. So we'll cut through, let that burn to the black. Then when we do this one, that'll burn into this black. So it's a safer way to manage a larger area.
Sure. And then the head fire, as you call it, that moves a lot quicker than this fire will, correct?
Because this is actually burning into the wind. If you see the smoke, it's going that way. So it's burning into the wind. When you light this, it's burning with the wind. The wind will carry that heat into the fuel as it comes, and it'll troop right across there.
All right. All right. Excellent. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Backfire's burning strongly. Get a little smoky. That's always a concern because people often will complain about that smoke or report that smoke to a local fire department. Although, this has certainly everybody's been warned about this in the area. But you still get that, of course. It's just part of the job. So the backfire's underway, and they're putting out the back edge here, utilizing some of their water tanks. But that seems to be moving along. Well, hello, Burn Boss. Why don't you introduce yourself and tell me what your role is and how it's going out here today so far?
Well, it's great to see you here, Dr. Cipollini. My name is Grace Deach. I am the director. I'm the Director of Conservation at Five Rivers Metroparks, and I am the burn boss here at Carriage Metropark, and we're burning 3 separate units, totaling about 20 acres.
20 acres, okay. Yeah. So about how long do you think it'll take to burn, to do what's being done here today?
All things go well, about 3 hours, I would say.
3 hours, all right.
Yeah.
So how many total acres has the Metroparks burnt this year?
Not many.
Not many?
It's been a really wet season. We've gotten 2 burn days in. And we have a pretty new burn team, a lot of green personnel. So we've done some smaller units, but I bet we've burned about 10 acres total.
Okay.
But so far the team is doing great.
Sure. Yeah. Seems very well organized. Your
Thank you.
Team meeting was really well run. I was very impressed.
Thank you.
Now, questions about the specifics here. So how often would you burn a particular site? On a yearly basis, less than the yearly basis, or just fill me in?
Well, I tend to think more about what the objectives of the site are than just burning because we want to burn it on a 3-year or 5-year rotation. In general, it is going to be about every 5 years, but it really just depends on what your objectives are and, the site history. So remnant prairies, for example, they can go much longer without a burn interval because there are more long-lived species there in general. So, that's just some of what I've learned, that remnants you might burn fewer and far in between, and then maybe your newer established prairies might need higher frequency levels just to keep some of those weeds suppressed. But yeah, it just kind of depends on what your objectives of the site are, what you're hoping to accomplish over the short term and over the long term.
Mm-hmm. So in that regard, obviously you're selecting for fire tolerant species that can handle this sort of thing.
Yeah.
Obviously things are dying though, insects and such when you do this. Do you want to address that? Is that a concern, or how does that not become an issue in the long run?
We never burn everything all at once. So we always leave, you know, so as you can see to the south of us, there is about another 15, 20 acres of prairie that will hopefully not get burned today. It's not our plan. And to the north of us, there's about another 10 acres of prairie that will not get burned today. And so we always leave, you know, more than, you know, half of any prairie remaining for habitat. And we will not, you know, so we will leave some unburned pockets in this unit too, some refugia for wildlife, you know, so from it, not only just insects, you know, but, you know, we've got snakes, you know, rabbits, and we are also burning in such a way, you know, so like the technique you're seeing here is strip firing, you know, so it allows the fire to come together more gradually as opposed to a ring fire, which puts a perimeter around the unit and then everything burns in together and doesn't leave any situation for egress, you know, for wildlife to escape. So this burn technique, because we are later in the season and we are more likely to encounter wildlife, allows wildlife to escape more easily. And then, you know, I stay pretty current in the fire ecology research. And what I have read so far, the research points to, while you do suffer some initial collateral damage from an insect perspective, over the course of the next 3 years, we will exponentially see an increase in the utilization of insects over time. So it's kind of a short-term loss for a long-term benefit.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, yeah. Excellent. So what sets the boundaries for fire season?
Well, fire season generally aligns with the Ohio statewide burn ban. But we do get waivers from the state, and we have reporting that goes out to the Ohio EPA as well for the smoke.
Right, which we're getting right now.
Here. Yeah. So the EPA knows about how much smoke we're putting into the air right now, and they're accounting for that, and their air quality parameters and things like that.
Right.
But in general, fire season coincides with the right temperature and weather requirements. So there's a certain temperature threshold we have to stay under in order to stay safe. There's humidity thresholds we have to stay above in order to stay safe. So we could burn year round technically, but as the coming weeks go on, it's just going to get hotter and drier. At that point, it's just not safe, and it's not within our prescription.
Right. So you're suggesting that this might be your last burn of the year?
I would imagine so. We're expecting some rain, and then after that, yeah, we expect it to get a little bit hotter and a little drier. And then after this too, the wildlife is just going to keep coming. You know, I was out yesterday hiking, starting to hear the warblers coming back, you know, so we expect the Henslow sparrows, you know, the grasshopper sparrows to come back, and, you know, we don't want to be burning too late into the nesting season.
Sure, yeah, well.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Hello, could you tell me what your name is and what your role is here today?
My name is Jim Latham. I'm a volunteer Metroparks. My role is the fire effects monitor, which is weather, fire behavior, trying to spot trends, like changes of wind direction, speed. I use this little portable weather station and record the weather generally about every 15 minutes, or if we see something start to shift. And then I advise the burn boss and the ignition bosses as to what the current conditions
Adam, holding team 1. Your side of the line is cool. Let's go ahead and start to bump around, headed towards DP8.
That's just an indication of some of the transmissions here amongst team members. I also learned at the briefing that you have some medical training too that probably comes in handy here as well.
I have wilderness. I'm a wilderness first responder, volunteer wilderness first responder, but hopefully we don't need that.
Sure, of
and
course.
We haven't needed it for the number of years I've been working with the burn kit.
Yeah, excellent. That's always the goal.
But we are covered in case we need it, because there's not going to be an ambulance get out here really fast.
Right. Now, are you on most burns with the Metroparks, or just occasionally?
I generally am on all the burns. I make myself available. It's, you know, one of those retirement things where now you can go play and support Grace and Adam and all the rest of the team.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you.
Sure.
They started the process of strip firing, so they're creating little head fires to burn back to their black line. And they go a lot faster because the wind carries them. It's coming right at me, but it's gonna die when it hits the black line. Getting a lot of ash, smoke, and heat, so I'm gonna back away. This gives you an idea here of the smoke. And I walked through that, from that corner down there to here, and got tougher to breathe, that's for sure. But yeah, the fire's roaring out there right now. Things seem to be moving along well. The weather conditions have changed a little bit since the day started, which is normal. But everything seems to be contained. I think moving along pretty well. I think they're pretty happy with what's happening at the moment. Now I'm upwind. This is the part where they're doing what's called strip firing. They're lighting strips to burn back toward their black line and to fill in a few gaps here, get rid of some small patches. That's underway. Seems to be moving well. So the fellow out here is lighting fire. And that fire, we see, will burn all throughout this dry material and meet the black line, probably in a matter of 5 or 10 minutes. Not even 10, probably 5 minutes. So we'll just watch this proceed. And that might do it for us for the most part. Everything seems to be working very well. We'll just pose here for a bit. Post up here for a bit. Watch that sweep across and meet the black line. Quite impressed with what I've seen today. Very well managed, well planned, well executed. And they're coming up now to the edge of the fire break. Okay, this is a mowed fire break right here. So they're going to burn that back into the black line as well. There's the use of the drip torch. Just a lit torch, a little bit of fuel, just to get things started. It's hot. Back up, it's that hot. Wow. That's incredible. Keep backing up. Woo. Sounds like rushing water right now, but that's anything but. Wow. Very cool. And a mixture, what you're seeing there is a mixture of smoke from combustion and steam. It'll be coming up out of the heated soil. It's beautiful in a way. And here we are, scorched earth. We made it. And again, this is what we're trying to achieve here, this prairie burn. If you come back in a matter of just a few weeks, this black charcoal will be largely hard to see. There'll be green grass and new plants coming up. And by midsummer, you'll forget that this area is burned unless you have a trained eye and know what happened here. So with that, I'm going to bid you all adieu for the day at Carriage Hill Metro Park, witnessing a successful prairie burn by Five Rivers Metro Parks and volunteers and so forth. So I hope you enjoyed it. I did. This was fun. Take care. Bye-bye.